Tyler.
All right. I'm gotta write that down before I forget it.
Is Brian and Melissa out?
I didn't know they were. Did anybody talk to Brian, or I think Melissa had told us she wouldn't be here.
I think Brian's, isn't this something to do with his daughter had a baseball game or something
I
tonight?
thought that was, yeah,
That was last time,
I
but
thought that was last meeting, but,
we
okay.
got quorum.
Yeah, we got a quorum.
Yeah, we've got a,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. All right. If everybody wants to find a seat.
Are we live?
I don't think you're live.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, they're not on.
Can you hear me now? There we go. There we go. Yeah. I want to welcome everyone out to the County Council meeting for May 21st, 2025. If you'll stand with us, I'm going to have Troy lead us in our pledge, and Vicki will lead us in prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the goodness of it. We just pray that you be with those who need you for healing and other matters. And we just ask that you heal bodies and rid them of cancer. We ask that you be with families that have lost loved ones and that are seeing loved ones go downhill. We just pray that you be with those people. Dear Lord, please be with those who serve in the areas of public service and our military and keep them all safe. And dear Lord, we thank you for living in this country and our freedoms and our ability to serve our nation. And we just ask that you be with our leaders and this body of government and help us to do what is right by the people that we serve. And all these things we pray in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. All right. I'm going to let the record show we do have a quorum this evening. We have two council members that are missing, Brian Culp and Melissa Green, but the rest of us are present. We're going to start with our new business. We have a light agenda this evening, at least on new business, but then we're going to have a legislative review. Reedy Financial is here with us this evening. They're going to kind of go over some of the legislation that is impacting our budgets going forward. So we're going to start, though, with new business. We have a request to fill a part-time position in the clerk's office. So we have Tammy Parker. Tammy, you want to come and address the issue of your position?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Gosh, I can really close here. My part-time position was in the records department that you approved to help with scanning of the files. She took another part-time position in another department, and I would like to fill that position, and it's only going to be until we move, so it's only a couple months, and I do have someone in mind that's willing to do that, so I was
So
hoping
it'd
that
just
I could
be-
just, and there's funds in the line item to take care of her.
Until when again? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Until we move, probably
Oh.
July, the end of July.
Okay.
So it's not a full part-time
No.
position. It'll just be for a short time.
Yes.
All right.
Just give us an update how the scanning's coming along.
Well, it looks like kind of a mess right now, but we are getting there. And I think the project has been very successful in saving the county some money and us doing that ourselves. There's probably going to be, there will be some boxes that we will have to move that my employees and myself will have to move, so.
You've done a
But-
great job with that.
Thank
And-
you.
And I
appreciate
don't know,
it.
I mean,
It's-
just to refresh everyone's mind here, that was going to cost, what was it, like 500,000?
Yeah, it was close to
Yeah, so-
half a million.
Yeah, $500,000 just to have that scanned and by someone else. And Tammy took it upon herself to have her office do that and save the county that money. So It's been a good move
Thank
for
you.
us, and we appreciate that, Tammy.
Thank you. So that's what I'm asking, is just to replace her for the 2 months, 2.5 months that we have left.
Anyone have questions on that or comments? If there's no,
Oh, go ahead, Vicki.
It just seems so short-term, it's not possible to move somebody over from,
Well, I do actually have my election girls working over there now also. So I have all of my employees working along with this person, so.
and this person doesn't have an issue with it being such a short period of time? Okay.
And is this out of your perpetuation fund?
Yes. Yeah, it's the same line item that the funds were coming out of with
Yeah.
my prior employee.
Yeah, it is. I don't have issue with it.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve this part-time position, especially since it's only until the end of July, 1st of August.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Keller, seconded by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Same issue, different department. We've got a request to fill a position in the prosecutor's office, Child Support Division.
Yes, good evening. If you recall, Bob Heggie retired after probably 40 years of service to the county, and Amanda Kester took over as the supervising attorney. Amanda has done a phenomenal job for us, but unfortunately, she and her husband were given a job offer too good to turn down. So this is a supervisory position. It's a staff of 6, 2 attorneys, 4 secretaries, or caseworkers. The lead attorney not only has her own caseload, but handles personnel, policy. We have to do quarterly reports and monthly reports to the state, plus deal with the whole array of child support collection. This may shock you, but to date, we have collected $1.75 million of child support. We have over 1,700 open cases, so we can't get by. This office has been run by 2 attorneys probably for the last 10, 15 years, maybe since Emily Mills was here. I have to go back a few years. The 2 attorneys cover 5 different courts, magistrate, circuit, and then Superior 1, 2, or 3. They're double booked, sometimes triple booked, trying to get people in court, pressure to pay their support. The hearings have to be prepped in advance, have to do pleadings, have to prepare, and then we do our own orders, and those orders have to be accurate so that the person is paying the right amount of support, and we are collecting the right amount of support, both current support and arrearage. The other thing we're starting to do more of is filing criminal charges, trying to make a difference in the child support. Some of the money we collect goes back to reimburse the county for welfare called TANF. So it's a very valuable position, and I think those of you that have heard my speech before and Bob Heggie's speech, for every dollar we spend on child support, every dollar that comes out, we get 66% back in federal reimbursement. So it's a program that's essential. I don't say it pays for itself, but it's so vital to our families in Morgan County that, are struggling. And it's just a moral, legal obligation to support your kids. Our criminal side has their own caseload. Everybody who works in child support has their own computer. They have to be separately screened, badged, credentials. For example, I had to be fingerprinted and have a background check every year just so I can walk into the separate office and check on things. So I would say that if there's a definition of essential position, this is it. It's one of those leadership positions. We hope to get somebody good. We hope to get someone with experience, but that's up to me. And I do appreciate your concern, and I realize tonight's on budgets, but this is one of those positions we absolutely need. Questions?
The current position, or the current person who has this, they've already left, this Amanda's already
No,
left?
we've got a little bit of time, Mr. Keller. We have until August 1st. The dream job that she and her husband are taking is so good, they're waiting on him and her. But so we've got a little bit of time, but the summer will be here. We've got permission to put the announcements out, Doree, Tammy, Linda. We haven't had a bite yet. Filling positions in this day and age isn't the easiest thing, but I think Morgan County is a great place to work. I think it's, self-serving, but we really want somebody that cares, that'll do a good job, and there's just no way for the office to run without the supervisor. I can't do it, Cassie can't do it. It needs to be somebody hands-on. Every day there's a call, a complaint, an issue. I think we're doing a really good job. I hate to see Amanda go, but, as part of life goes on, and we'll try to train her replacement. We're gonna do everything we can to make this seamless.
Do you have funding for that, to have both of them there at the same time?
There's a little bit of like a 2-week layover.
Okay.
There's something called incentive money, which we've used in the past. 2 weeks is not enough time to get fully up to speed, but it's enough to know where the court is. The new courts will be here, by the way. But just to get familiar, if we could get a local attorney that's already familiar with the domestics relations, that's a hope on my part. We may be getting someone right out of law school. Again, it is a seller's market. I said that correctly. We'll get a job posting and get 1 applicant, 2 applicants. It's countywide, I think. But it is a very vital position. It more than earns its keep just with the reimbursement. But the $1.5 million coming back, that's money that's owed by I'll say fathers, but sometimes mothers. And we're doing a great job of putting heat on them. It's just there's certain people that are choosing to abandon their obligation to support their kids, and that's a sad reality.
So just to be clear, this isn't a new position, it's filling an existing
Yes,
position?
it's
No
existing.
change in the salary?
No change in the salary, just it's a 1-for-1. And we just can't get by with 1 attorney. And the 1 attorney we have is brand new. And he's learning. He's a great guy, but it's
Any
just,
other-
it's one of the challenges of running an office, and I do appreciate your support and consideration.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Soniga?
Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we approve this continuation of filling this position.
O'Connell, second it.
Have a,
First and a second.
yes, I was reading, I lost my train of thought. We have a motion by Vicki Kivett, seconded by Joe Crone. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much for your support.
The question we kind of asked, we're getting ready to have a presentation from our Reedy Financial on the budget and legislation and things, but we've got some folks that wanted to speak tonight. Would those that are wanting to speak, do you want to speak beforehand, or would you rather wait till after this presentation? They know who they are. I've got 3 that want to speak. Mr. Stafford, would you like to speak now, or would you like to wait until after the presentation? Okay, you come right on up, sir. And what we normally do when we have folks that want to speak, we appreciate you being here and speaking. We do usually put a time limit on it of 3 minutes, and if you'll give your name and your address within the county, we'd sure appreciate that.
My name is Rod Stafford. My address is P.O. Box 1723, Martinsville. And I think we need to add to our prayer that we need some tax relief for people in this county and this town. Our spending has grown to the point that it's out of control. And I think it exhibits very poor leadership if nobody wants a mutiny in the troops. So if you have people that you govern, whether you're a boss at work or you're the county government, why would you want to make everybody angry? And right now, everybody's angry over these taxes. They're out of control. A little bit of it is inflationary, but our inflationary part of our taxes is not proportionate to what the federal government is telling us we have. Look at your Social Security COLAs compared to our county raises, and they're on multiples of different levels. Our county taxes is much more oppressive rates than where they've ever been. And it's totally related to spending. So let's stop the blame game. The state caused it. The state says, no, the county caused it. We don't care who caused it. We care about the bottom line. And the bottom line taxes are out of control. At my own personal home, my assessment has went up in 4 years of about 31%, but my tax burden has went up about 72%. So no matter how we get there, that is a convoluted vehicle of taxation, and it's wrong. And we should be ashamed of ourselves to pass this down on the hardworking taxpayers. We've built hundreds of homes in this community, okay? We have contributed in a big way. We've paid our own way. We're not against taxation. We're for it. I drove here on a street that was paid for by taxes. This building was paid for by taxes. I'm not against it. I'm against unfair and oppressive taxation. And y'all know what I'm talking about, because I know your phones are ringing. And if you're not, then you need to go to the coffee shop with me. So I think we need to revisit this in a big way. We need to really rethink our spending habits. If I have to sell a property as a developer or as a builder, and the person says, tell me why I should want to move to Morgan County, Rod. And I say, well, we have a new courthouse. We got a new fire station. We got a new police station. We're getting ready to get a new clerk's office at the, but what did you get for the people? What do I have to sell them? What can I convince you that you need to come here because this is a good place to raise a family? I don't think a courthouse has anything to do with that quality of raising a family. And we're getting to an indebtedness with these bonds that's going to carry out for 20 years. We're going to force ourselves to get into this spending ritual that we're not going to overcome easily. And then when we have good things that we want, you know, I mean, we could crush all the police cars and buy new ones. We could say that that's forward thinking, but it's not. So I think that we really need to take a hard look at ourselves as a county, as taxpayers and tax takers, and I think we need to revisit this in a hard way. So that's my side.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford.
Thank you.
Larry Ralph, did you want to come on up? Good evening, sir. Tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Larry Ralph, and I live at 1990 Old State Road 44 here in Martinsville. I've lived in the same home for over 4 decades. I haven't bounced around a lot. I've lived in the same home for over 4 decades. I'm friends with many people here. I know many of you. And you know, I have voted in every election that I could since I was 18 years old. Never missed one. I'm close friends with Matt Lehman, the floor majority leader, the House Representative in Indianapolis. I'm also close friends with 2 of Mike Braun's previous Senate campaign managers. I've had dinner with Mike Pence a long time ago before he lost his mind. Sat next to Eric Holcomb at dinner and have had several conversations with him. I knew he was lying to me most of the time on what he said, but that's who Eric is. Other than a few exceptions, I have voted for one party since my first vote at 18 years old. After being backstabbed by that party over them promising me that they would tackle property tax reform, I'm regretting the nearly 50 years of that track record for that party that I aligned myself with. Mike Braun lied to all of us when he said that he would fight for us on this property tax issue. Flat out lied. My hope and my prayer is that this party that I've always supported loses their supermajority in the House. Maybe then that party, I'm not saying lose the majority, lose the supermajority that they have. Maybe then that party would think a little bit more about we the people out here. I own a business here in town, and I employ people, and you know what? I'll be able to pay my property taxes. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll be able to pay mine. But what sickens me are some of these elderly people that are living in their home that have been like I have, tax-paying citizens for over 4 decades, and they're not going to be able to figure out a way to pull this off. They're going to have to leave a home that they have lived in and served their communities over all these years because they can't afford the property taxes. Now, I agree also with Rod when he says he's tired of the blame game. Listen, some of you I know dearly, and I love you, but I'm tired of the blame game too. Because if there was enough noise made statewide, the state leaders from these counties and cities, the state leaders would have to stop and think and listen. I don't know, there has to be some pretty big changes. There really does. And I love Martinsville. It's my home. I love Morgan County. It's my county. But I'm telling you, I am fed up. I had some things I wanted to say tonight, and my wife said she would get up and leave in embarrassment if I said them. So I'll reserve part of that. But I'm telling you, I'm sick. I'm sick, I'm pissed, I'm angry. The party that I have supported all these years has become a weak-kneed, gutless shell of who they were. So, that being said, on a positive note, I do love this city. I care deeply for any of you that are serving. I don't attend meetings like this. I vote. I try to vote for people that are like-minded, or that I think are like-minded. And that way they represent me, so I don't have to attend meetings like this. But tonight, I had to come vent.
Appreciate that.
So anyway, that's it. Love y'all, care for y'all. God bless Morgan County, God bless Martinsville, and God bless our nation.
Amen.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Mr. Holloway? Want to give us your name and where you live?
It's Mike Holloway. It's 1550 Plantation, Martinsville. I'm kind of echo these guys. I'm not as good at speaking as they are, but I get tongue-tied and a little nervous. But all I know is that
Talk to us like you talk to me.
in over 20 years that I've had rental properties, I've never raised anybody's rent. Once they've moved in, I've never raised their rent. And because of these property taxes, I've ate them for the past 3 years, and it's got to where I couldn't eat it no more. I had to raise rent on some people that I don't do that. And now I've got 3 seniors renting off of me, and I can't in good conscience raise their rent, because if I do, they're gonna have to move. And there's nobody, they can't find anywhere else for what I'm renting to them for. So, again, what you're doing here is affecting people in a lot bigger way. And it's time to shut the checkbook, stop the spending. I mean, like this back here was frivolous. You may have needed something, but it didn't need to be that nice. you didn't have to have all the bells and whistles. Most of your constituents don't go buy something with all the bells and whistles. They can't afford it, and neither can we.
Thank you, Mike. All right, those were the only ones we had to speak. Did any of the council want to say anything in regard to these things? Any comments? Joe?
You know, it's not just you guys that have the tax burden other than us. I mean, we still pay taxes. I mean, we're one of the biggest property tax payers in this county. So, I mean, I totally understand. You know, I'm new. I don't know the ropes. I don't know the way this is supposed to work. But, I mean, we're all trying. We are. And I mean, we all keep each other accountable. So, I mean, we'll get down. Me personally, I will look into it, and I promise that. So that's my only remarks. I mean, I may not be able to do anything about it myself, but I'll look at it.
I think this council is very cognizant of our constituents and their money situations and what the taxes do. I mean, I'm aware of it. I'll be honest, my taxes didn't go up a whole lot on my house. I got a 1,200 square foot house out on Blue Bluff, and I think my taxes went up $60 on the half this time. I didn't see a huge increase. But I will say that I've had to call the ambulance in the middle of the night one night for my husband on a blood pressure issue. And had we not had our EMS service, I don't know that he'd have been here. And so I don't see that this council can cut any services to our community that, I mean, and I've asked folks, I think I asked one of you that just spoke this evening, what do you want me to give up? What do you want me to cut? So EMS, Sheriff's Department, what do you want cut? So the building, the judicial center. Have you been to the courthouse? Have you been inside the courthouse? It will be when we redo it. It's not a healthy building. It's a very sick building. And I've got friends and family that work in there, and I don't want to ask them to work in there any longer. I understand that. I do understand that. Yes. I'm sorry. You'll just give your name and your address, sir.
Mark McDaniel, 2745 Jordan Road. I'd just like to know what essential services that we couldn't afford now that we was affording 3 years ago, before all these taxes went up.
Well, I think the largest thing we saw with the taxes going up was our assessed values. I mean, your neighbors
Well,
sold
lower the
their...
rate then.
The rate has stayed pretty flat the last 3 years. If
Well,
you look
lower
at-
it, because my taxes, everybody's taxes are going up 30% or more.
But a lot of that, again, is your assessment. It's the value of homes are going up.
Yeah, but
greater
you
than...
can lower the rate. I'm just asking, what in your budget, the budget you had 3 years ago,
is the same budget we have today. I mean, it did not change much. It really hasn't. If you look at those numbers, if you look at your tax rate, county rate, don't get Jackson Township into this because that's a whole nother issue. But if you just look at your county tax rate, that rate stayed pretty flat in the last 3 years.
well, why don't we lower it so that everybody's property taxes doesn't go up 33%?
If we lower it, we have to do away with some services.
If we could go back to the budget we had 3 years ago and still have all the services we have today?
No.
Want to shut the sheriff's department down?
I think we'd have to lay some people off, yes.
Well, I don't believe that, but, and I do want to echo what Rod said. I see a lot of bells and whistles for county government, but I don't see a lot of bells and whistles for the people out here. So that's my impression.
And we appreciate your opinion. All right, we're going to move on to the financial portion of this on the legislative review and looking at the 2026 budget. We have Tyler and Mickey from Reedy Financial, so we're going to turn it over to you, gentlemen. And
hello, everybody.
hello.
So I just want to make clear, what we're presenting, it's all estimates right now. And it's not anything that the county has decided to do. You know, we're just presenting what the legislation says and what your options are moving forward. So I just wanted to make that clear before I started. So I'm on the presentation portion in the binder that I gave you. And we also have it on the TV here if you'd like to look there.
Can folks see that in the back? Can you see that screen?
You want to move around?
Or is there any way we can turn it just a
Turntables
little
or
bit
turn
to
the
see?
screen,
I was going
or-
to say if we could turn that screen just a
We
little
got
bit.
our book to look at, so maybe
Yeah.
turn the screen.
And if you can stay, I would like you to kind of get an understanding of what we're looking at with, I know we hear it on the news and everything, Senate Bill 1 and how that's impacting county government. So if you can stay, I'd like you to listen to this. Oh. Tell us who you are.
I'm Brian Collier,
And where you live.
Maybe not.
190 North 4th Street. A couple of things that should come to the four gentlemen who spoke under the Senate Bill 1. I didn't get very many, I was on the council at the time, I didn't get very many thank yous when I raised everybody's income tax to lower everyone's property tax. We take 1% of our 2.72, the 8th highest income tax. We lower everyone's property tax with that. Under the new bill, you're only going to be allowed to use 0.3. So unless there's legislative changes at the state level, everyone's property taxes are going to go way up. Probably, but not prorated,
enough to
not
offset it.
proportionately. So be aware of that. That's outside of our control. We're addressing that. That's why we have them here tonight. We're looking at that. I have numerous rentals myself. I have 4 of them that have senior citizens on them, and I do an SE 40 for them every year. It's the free tax return, so they can get the $100 back from the state. If I'm charging the same that I've charged them for the last, one elderly lady for the last 10 years. If I raise her rent, she's already told me she's gonna move in with her child because she can't afford any increases. I get it. To answer your question on what services that we would lose, everyone that works for the county has had a pay raise. I assume that the homes that you're building and selling are not the same charges that you charged in 2016. Correct.
That still doesn't help us pay. That doesn't come into our bank account.
I hear you. I'm on average, I charge less for a tax return than just on one county over. So
Last time the council said, no, we're not going to spend money on something.
every meeting,
Yeah.
every
We've said
meeting.
no a lot.
But there are certain things that we have to do. And I'm going to tell you, everybody, before you call me a rhino, like they did Eric and some of the other ones that you alluded to, it is not being fiscally responsible or conservative to pass capital projects on to the next generation. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, so at the bottom line, it begins and ends at the county level, not the state. We can twist that all we want, but we have to go there with our hat in our hand and tell the state, this is our budget and we want you to approve it, please. So it's us. We can blame it on the state all we want.
I'm not blaming it on the state. I mean, there's things we're going to have to deal with that's coming down the pike from the state, but I'm not blaming anyone. I mean, we do set these rates, but I'm not ashamed of the services we offer in our community.
What we're talking about is, in the past 4 years, or even 5 years,
Oh, yes, they are. Oh, my gosh. He has no, I'm sorry.
And it is the most like business as to the business I own in Morgan County as well. So I know what the rates, I know what the bottom line taxes are on, and what their appraised values are as well, and the tax burden that comes with it, and they're lower in Johnson County. The rate? The bottom line bill for the same buildings that do the same thing. If anything, sets on higher value piece of green. So you're either assessment or the tax rate, one of them's messed up. Maybe both. Could be.
All right, we're going to move on. Go ahead, Tyler. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move forward to page 4. So I'm just going to go over some points on Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1461. Obviously, the big bill, Senate Bill 1, it has the biggest impact. So everybody on page 4? Okay, so income taxes. So there's a new income tax structure coming in 2028, as most of you probably know. There's 5 new rates. The county is in control of 4 of those, and I'll start from the first bullet point. So there's a 1.2% income tax rate just for county services. It's a general purpose rate, so anything you use income tax for now, such as, PSAP, lit public safety, lit economic development, that'll be under that 1.2% bucket. The next rate is fire protection in EMS at a 0.4% capped rate. This will be distributed to fire districts, fire territories, and municipal fire. So we're not sure at this point how EMS fits into that. I don't know if the county's going to get any income tax for EMS services because it just says fire right now. But that's one of the points we're waiting on DLGF guidance for. The next rate is a 0.2% non-municipal rate, so that's for conservancy districts, townships, libraries, et cetera. The total, the cap on those 3 rates together is 1.7%. So one of those has to be cut. There's one more rate that the county controls. It's a 1.2% rate for municipalities under 3,500. So that's anything outside of Martinsville and Mooresville. Okay. And the thing about that 1.2% rate, and we'll discuss this a little bit later, if the county has their own 1.2% rate, then you get some of that under 3,500 revenue if you choose. So that's an option the county has. And then the 5th rate that I was talking about is municipalities over 3,500 can have their own 1.2% rate. So Martinsville, Mooresville. And it's stacked, but the max rate is 2.9%. Yeah. Another income tax impact. So currently, Morgan County has PTR credits. That's going away in 2028. So those credits that taxpayers are receiving for PTR will go away, and they will have to pay.
And that's the credit Brian was just talking about. It's 1.0 right now. It's going to go away, and then it can be put back in at 0.3 at the current rules. So Brian is correct that that's going to affect all of our property tax bills, regardless. We could cut property taxes by 15%, and this one change alone that they made at the State House will just offset that and then some.
Yeah. So, yes, so in 2026 and 27, the county can do up to a 0.3% homestead credit, and that only helps the county's levy. So anything you're going to lose because of Senate Bill 1 on your levy can be helped with a 0.3%
And that
homestead credit.
That credit before has been on any property.
Correct.
Going forward, Mike, rental properties will not be getting that credit.
Just 1% properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't go over all the bullet points, just the important ones, but your levy freeze that you currently have, the way we currently understand the bill is that goes back into your property tax revenue in 2028. So currently it's an income tax. That amount will go into your max levy, and you'll get the growth quotient on. Personal property, currently the minimum's 80,000. That's going to 2 million and pay 27. So you'll lose a little bit of tax revenue on personal property. Fire territories, I know that was a thing going on in the county recently. The max rate can be 40 cents per $100 of assessed value if you establish a fire territory. The stabilization fund, we'll talk about that later in the budget season, but they're allowing you to use that on operations to get that fund back down to zero. And then growth appeals are no longer allowed. So, which we've done the past couple of years, so. Those are going away. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, homestead deduction, currently $48,000 on your 1% properties. That's going to phase down to zero, while the supplemental deduction is going to phase up to 66% in 2031. So also 2% property, which currently they do not receive any deductions, they'll get up to a 33% deduction in 2031. So, oh, sorry about that. So what that's going to do is, obviously you have your gross assessed value, and then when you have deductions, it nets to a net assessed value. That will result in a lower net assessed value, and your tax rate will go up to counteract that, because it's a formula. It's a state formula. So other tax impacts, and this is a big one, the homestead tax credit. It's 10% times your tax liability. So that's probably the biggest, one of the biggest impacts on property tax revenue. Also, over 65 and blind and disabled credits are being added. The deductions are being removed, though, on those. And the growth quotient's 4% for next year. Next page. So small numbers and not the greatest print. I apologize. I do have this in the pocket of your binder if you want to look at it later. But there's 3 sections on the impact of Senate Bill 1, the top section being your levy, your property tax revenue impact, the second being net assessed value impact, and then at the bottom, your tax rate impact. So I just want to explain briefly, if you look at the top section, there's 3 rows there. It has the current legislation through the years through 2032 compared to, in the second row, Senate Bill 1, and then in the bottom in the yellow, it just shows you the difference between current legislation and Senate Bill 1. So in 2026, you're going to receive about $1.37 million less in property tax revenue. That includes TIF revenue as well. So it doesn't mean your levy won't grow each year. You still may have growth, but you won't have as much as if Senate Bill 1 wasn't passed. And then obviously you can see in the second section, your net assessed value decreases quite a bit as you go through the years because of the deductions being phased in. And then, as I mentioned, the tax rate's going up because of net assessed value. You can see on the bottom section, by 2032, a 15-cent higher tax rate compared to what current legislation would have been. Now, again, these are just estimations 6 and 7 years out, so a lot could change by then. Next page. So income tax, Senate Bill 1. So there's 2 bar columns. The first column with the different colors, that's your current income tax that you're receiving, broken up by certified shares, public safety, PSAP, economic development, inlet jail. So it's about $20.5 million. Taking Senate Bill 1, and with a 1.2% rate, it'd be about, on the right column, about $28 million. So that's just if you implemented the full rate. So if there's any loss on the property tax side, you could make up for it if you wanted on income tax. And this column on the right, it doesn't include the fire or the 75% of the under 3,500. So that's just the county's rate. So there could be additional revenue on top of that if the county wanted it.
That's just 1 year, right?
That's just comparing 2025 dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And
if,
this doesn't-
if SB 1 was passed for 2025 and you had your 1.2% rate, you would collect about $7.5 million more dollars in income tax. And the reason, Chip, is the way the current income tax structure is, you have to share it with the cities and towns. The percentage under Senate Bill 1, you're not sharing. It's just all going to the county.
Because they're going to have to pass their own rate.
Correct. Yeah. Well, the over
The option.
3,500 will, the townships and the smaller towns, libraries, the county will have to determine that rate. Yeah. Next page. House Bill 1461, not a lot changed for the county. It did reduce the percentage match for CCMG for smaller counties, but your guys' population is over 55,000, so you're still gonna have you have to put up $1.5 million to get $1.5 million in grants. So that didn't change.
I think the change on that was that the ones that didn't have a wheel tax have to implement a wheel tax if they didn't have.
That was, before the final bill was passed, they were gonna force municipalities to do a wheel tax, but they didn't do that.
They didn't do, okay.
Now, yeah, so those local units are still gonna get they're gonna split the first 100 million of the state fund of state CCMG grants. And then the rest of the money will be distributed to the other state agencies, and if there's any left over, those units with wheel and surtax will get anything that's left over, but I don't know what that's going to be at this point. It does, now I'm not a bridge and highway expert, but it defines responsibilities for bridge work. So I don't know how it changed from previous to this bill, but it does say county is responsible for bridges greater than 20 feet in length. Municipalities responsible for bridges located within corporate limits and less than 20 feet in length. So I'd have to talk to Justin on that, see how that impacts the county. So low water crossings can now receive grant matches. They can do the 80, so if it's a federal project, you put up 20%, the state will give you 80% on that. So before, you couldn't do that with low water crossings. MVH restricted fund, right now you have to have at least 50% of the MVH revenue going into that fund, but if you have a 6 Payzer rating average on your roads, that can be lowered to 40%. And then finally, townships will have to create a fund and put 30% of their unrestricted funds they'll have to work into it like a memo of understanding with the county, with the city, in order to help pay for some of this road work, bridge work, et cetera. I imagine some of the townships will make those funds restricted in some way, but just something to keep an eye on. Okay, that's the extent of my bill summary. If you go to page 10, I send you guys a management report every month, and this is sort of a summary after April of where you guys stand. It basically has 25 beginning cash balance spent through April, and then projected year-end cash balance and days on hand. And the county right now is healthy, good standing. I think we've done a good job, and you guys have done a good job of balancing funds and moving things around in an efficient way in order to keep cash, a healthy cash reserve in each fund. So an important thing moving forward, obviously, is property tax versus income tax revenue. So, next page, property tax rates. I know this has been a point of discussion. In 25, it did go up, and there was another debt added in 25, but the other rates outside of debt went down. It was just the debt rate that went up. But as Senate Bill 1 legislation moves forward, that blue line at the top is your assessed value. You'll start to see that come back down, and that tax rate will keep going up. It's really that, because it's a formula, it's outside your control a little bit on that portion. So this is just an update through 2025. Next page. Next page, page 13. So in the financial plan that I use for Morgan County, I built this budget. Obviously, there's a lot of discussions that need to happen in the next few months on what the budget's going to be, but I did basic increases like personal services 2%, supplies and other services and charges 1%, capitals no growth. Okay. Debt I do have included in other services on this graph, but that's the total amount divided up by expense type. And this will obviously be adjusted as we move forward. And on the next page with that budget I just laid out there, again, not good print, but this is a 2026 budget book summary, which we'll review at the budget timing to see how you guys balanced your funds. But so far with that budget that I put in a financial plan, this is how you guys stand. And you can see on the far right-hand column the number of days on hand. And I still think, even after Senate Bill 1 in 2026, I still think the county's cash reserves will be healthy. I think there's some things we need to look at in terms of lit ED. There's a lot of bridge work in that fund, and there are salaries paid out of lit ED still. Maybe we need to move that to a different fund. NVH, those are still spending down, so we'll have to figure those things out, and we'll work through it. It just really depends on what the budget's going to be for 26, but overall, you guys will still be in good shape. And then I also want to remind you, so we did a growth quotient last year, or a growth appeal last year, that we're not using. So that's sort of in your reserve if the county wants to use it, but it would increase your tax rate above, if you didn't use it. So just to keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, so the third column from the right, that's a surplus deficit column. That just means, so in the general fund at the very top, with the budget I have in the plan, they're projected to have $604,000 more in revenue than expenses. That's not a cash balance. They're just going to increase their cash balance 600,000. And then the second to right is the projected 2026 cash balance. And then the column on the far right of the table is just days of cash on hand. So if you have a budget of $200 and you have $100 of cash, you have half a year of cash days on hand.
How did you estimate those budget numbers for 2026?
I said personal services category increased 2%. Supplies 1%, over 25. Yeah, that's how I did it. So what was the 25 adopted budget? I'm going to increase 2% and 1%. It's just, I'm just giving you guys have seen this before. Obviously, the budget will change. This is not what the county is going to do at all. But this report, I can update very quickly. If you want to move to the next page, I did in your binder include a budget book. And this is something I give you guys every year during the meetings. And you can go through each department and see, okay, what was your 2024 spend? What was adopted in 2025? You can see what the total appropriation is in 25, which is your adopted budget plus any adjustments. Your spend through April this year, and then your 26 budget. So the point of this is, as you guys discuss your budget coming up, Linda says, hey, you input these. If you guys say, hey, show me 2, 3, 4, 5%, show me all the options, I can update this quickly and send it to you.
Yeah, you're always good at that.
Yeah. And then finally, page 16. It's just what's important moving forward. Obviously, legislation. As we get more information from the DLGF, we'll work those things into the financial plan to fine-tune your revenues so we know what kind of budget you can work with. Capital plan, I think Linda's sending these out to each department head. And the reason we do a capital plan, I try to get all the departments' capital for like 5 years out. And the reason that's important is sometimes, you'll have an equipment line. You spend $10,000 a year. Well, maybe in 2028, they need a $200,000 piece of equipment. Well, now, if I know that now, I can prepare for that, be proactive in trying to fund it. And then also, if you guys do bonds, having a capital plan lowers your interest rate because of S&P ratings. So that capital plan is built into your plan, and I can give that to you anytime. Continue to receive Form 1s as we do every year. As I mentioned before, the lit economic development, there's a lot of bridge work. Justin does a good job of giving me the plan for bridges. But if you keep spending the way you are, that fund will go down to zero. So I think we need to move some of those salaries outside of that fund. Same thing with statewide 911. It's spending down yearly. We just need to find a new home for it. And then every year that we've worked with the county so far, we've done year-end lit rate adjustments for just to kind of make lit public safety more efficient and lower your stabilization fund. But anyways, we can look at that again this year. So one thing that I thought about on your stabilization fund is we can lower the rate to get that balance down to zero in 2 years before PTR goes out. And then we can increase public safety dollars or lit certified share dollars, however you want to do it. Any questions? Clear as mud?
Yeah, clear as mud. We'll get there.
Yeah. There is one more page, but it's just kind of what's coming up. There will be an extra meeting you'll have to do this year, but for budget, but me and Linda are trying to figure out what that is and what needs to be done because of Senate Bill 1. Anything not clear?
Trick question.
Personal services, I had requested that they calculate what the impact would be if we gave 2% salary increases to
Yeah.
employees. I did not ask him to go any higher than that, because with us looking at our projected revenues. So I was kind of hoping that the goal tonight would be that the council could kind of give us, make some decisions on what to send out with the Form 1s to the department heads.
You did mostly 2% last year, didn't you? Or was it?
Brought everyone up to the midpoint last year.
What's your
Well,
advice?
part of the trick to that question too is the health insurance. We don't know what those
The killer.
rates will be for next year, and that's obviously, I sit on the insurance board, so that's right in the back of my mind is trying to, how much to budget for an increase there, because that always goes up too.
And something I've seen too is a county will figure out its budget for everything outside of personal services, and then you know what kind of raise you can do after that. So after you know approximately what your insurance costs are going to be, what your capital,
Every department's going to see increases in, for their supplies and things like that. I mean, that's increase. I mean, even if we would tell each department, cut your budget 10%.
Yeah, and something
It's
else
hard to
too,
do.
if you go through this budget book at the back of your binder, you may see a line in 24, you spent $1,000, but it's budgeted for 20,000. Do you need 20,000 in the budget there, or do you need 1,000?
Right, we could look at
Right.
those things, yeah. That's true.
Look at lines that you may be able to cut to make room for that stuff.
Yeah.
And I do know, I haven't heard from our highway department, but other counties, the highway departments are getting tariff charges on some of their bills.
On their bills now. I wondered if that would start to show up. Did they say like what percentage they're seeing or anything? They're
They were
just seeing some
asking
charges.
of the other counties, and
Okay.
they're starting to see those.
Well, hopefully we're getting close to the end of that, but. I'm sorry. Yes, did you have a question? Can you come up so we can all hear you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is on YouTube and it's recorded, so when you're back there,
They can't hear it. No, you're fine.
Manipulate that taxing district, and for the increased tax, then they could take the TIF monies and invest them as they please within the TIF district. Now, all of a sudden, I look over here, and because of redevelopment or whatever, economic development, we've got Walmart in the TIF, we've got these new subdivisions over here at Hannah Farms in the TIF, so we're essentially robbing from ourselves there, causing budget shortfalls with the TIF, and then we're turning around and act confused, we have to raise the taxes based on the TIF. And then one more thing, and then I'll
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
Here's a glaring example of waste here, and it's glaring. This new grade school, this centralized grade school, and I realize that this board did not vote that, but it is a tax, so we'll talk about it. That they're going to idle the other schools and consolidate all this into this one new school out here. Well, the piece of ground that they bought out there, I'm in the business of selling ground.
Yeah.
So I have a very good idea what ground's worth. They paid $90,000 an acre for a piece of ground that was assessed for $12,000. We all know what pretty darn accurate. But our tax takers decided, we're gonna pay $90,000 an acre here for something for 20.02 acres. I know the math on it. And then they run it through an LLC in southern Indiana, and then they run it back up there a few days later to the owner. So they're tone deaf to us. And it's a shame, because the taxes all comes out the same billfold.
Yeah.
And it's just, basically, it's a spit in our face that we're gonna do as we please, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so I just wanna point that out to you guys, because it's not fair.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have anyone that goes to school board meetings? Anybody follow that's
we have in the
interested?
past, Vicki, but they're tone deaf
Yeah,
to what you have to say. And it's basically, they hold the kids up like a shield in front of you, like, you know, if you're against this, that you're against children.
yeah,
And that's simply not the truth. You know, in your own personal budget at home, we all have a budget. We have kids, grandkids, in my case, and it's not an unlimited budget. All of us, no matter how large your checkbook is, we all have budgets.
yeah.
So, and it's just, tone deaf is the best way I know how to describe it. Basically, we're gonna take it, we're gonna spend it as we see fit, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's how they treat us. And it's not right. You know, we respect our county government. We respect our city government. We always have. I've never come to a council meeting in my life and moaned and groaned, but I have tonight. And I've not said one word that's not true. So,
Respect that,
And we do,
Rod.
we respect
We
that,
do.
Rod. We do. We want you to come to us. We want you to feel like you can tell us your thoughts on it. We do. We do.
we work hard and,
Yeah.
we don't need a participation trophy, but we do need fair taxation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, young man. You sure can. If you'll give your name and where you live.
Caleb Stitt, P.O. Box 1334, Martinsville.
I've heard your name.
I want to go back to, or ask you, you said that if we cut the budget, what are we going to cut? EMS, sheriff, is that right?
And I wasn't being sarcastic. I mean, I want opinions.
Right. Okay, so I think of that, I'm a father of 3 kids, have a wife, we make a living in this community. They look at me to make the budget, the financial decisions for our family. And to me, that almost sounds like, and most people would judge a father if the family decided they wanted a fishing boat, okay? And the dad goes, okay, we can, in his mind, he says, we can buy a John boat, we can buy a Ranger, or we can go buy a $250,000 Malibu, right? The Malibu's cooler. It's gonna look better on the lake. So if the dad wants to go buy the Malibu, okay, spends the money, and then he looks at his kids and goes, well, we can't really buy groceries now, and we can't really pay for the doctor's visits. Whose burden does that lie on? Because you can't look at the constituents and say, well, we won't have an EMS, well, we won't have a sheriff's department, right? We could have bought a John boat, we could have even bought a Ranger, a decent boat. But instead, we went and bought something that was way out of our budget. And now you look at the kids and say, sorry, but don't we look cool?
So you're referring to the Judicial Center.
Correct. I mean, I just see it as if we're gonna keep that building, and am I right in saying that the people that are currently in this building are going to be moved to that building after the renovation?
Correct.
The
Some of
non-judicial
them.
offices.
Yes, yes.
So would it have not been more financially responsible possibly to move everybody out of the courthouse for if it took a year, do all the upgrades you need, spend half the money even, and then at the end of it, move people back in? You're shaking your head no.
No,
Not
because
enough
we had
space.
outgrown that building. That building is not sufficient for the services we needed it for.
Have we grown that much in the county?
Yes.
In population?
And our,
We have a massive boom.
I don't think it's so much about population growth as it is the services that we provide. And then, there's a movement about a lot of offices coming to the county from the townships, and, that might be a thing in the past, or in the future, that's going to create more work. I personally worked in that building over there about 30 years. It wasn't ADA compliant. It met all kinds of code violations. You couldn't regulate the heat, you couldn't regulate the air. You could send a man to the moon, you're a heating and cooling guy, but they could never regulate that building. It's full of asbestos, it's full of bat droppings. We had the mold issues. Several people, if you see Judge Tom Gray, he carries this list of all the people that have worked in that building that have died of cancer. Well, we're going to get it out,
gonna
we're
be a
going to
totally
clean
new
it, we're going to give it a scrubbing, and we're going to replace a lot of things and make it compliant, so.
That's just the way I see it. As if I leave my family and I can lead them to financial failure just as easy as I can lead them to financial success. And you guys are the leaders that are doing that, right? You guys are helping write the checks for all the people. So think about that as if you were to look at your kid and say, sorry, we can't buy groceries this week. Sorry, we can't go to the doctor. That's what, essentially, we're doing to everybody in the county.
Thank you. Okay. Did you have anything else, Tyler, for us this evening? Okay. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council this evening? Anything else? Did anyone?
When's our next meeting? Can you remind me of that?
Well, we have a meeting on the 27th. Yeah. 9 a.m. 9 a.m. on the 27th. Chip, did you get that one down?
Yeah.
Okay. And then our next meeting will be June 2nd
June
June-
6:30.
Yeah, our regular meeting, June 2nd at 6:30.
I do have the state called meeting for the county councils. If anyone is wishing to attend, get with me and we can take care of your registration.
Saturday. It's up at Carmel.
June 21st.
21st, okay.
I think they have some stuff on Friday.
Oh,
I won't be here, so I know I can't. I
Do you
can't
need-
attend.
I want to be able to make it this year.
I will get with you this week, though.
If there's nothing else to come before the council, I look for a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
We have a motion by Vicky Kivett.
I'll second it.
Crone second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I want to thank you all for being here, and we welcome you out to any of our meetings. If you've got questions and want to come before us, and our numbers are local, you can call us or come see us. We want your input.
Tammy
Thank you.
Parker, I have something for you.